The newly set free-to-play shooter World War III just entered their closed beta. We recently made a video on the best settings for their previous alpha release. Is this update any better than the last release? I did receive access to the closed beta, so I was curious to see whether this one was better or worse this time around. Let's take a look. Yes, I did have trouble like the rest, but I eventually got in. At first look, the game looks exactly the same as it did in the alpha. The graphics are similar and the gameplay is practically the same. Not that I'm complaining. I didn't expect many changes from the alpha to the beta. Now let's check on the settings to see what is different. The first thing to do is always to set the max FPS frame limit so we don't get any limitations. Do this for in-game and also the menu so we can get a good test. This time, the graphics were already set to balanced, which is a high, ultra hybrid on default. I ran with these settings out the gate to see where I stood. I also had the Nvidia FPS tracker in the corner. I played various games, and I mentioned before that gameplay and graphics didn't change much, but the thing that changed the most for me was the optimization of the game overall. The FPS has increased about 10 to 30% in almost every instance. I know I never hit 3 figures last time, but I'm hitting it here, and with some regularity. One of the biggest things that was hindering FPS performance was performance between outside and inside. The FPS does fluctuate, but it's usually between 60 to 80 FPS rather than 40 to 60 as it did in the alpha. Watch as I transition from outside to inside and engage my target without too many massive drops. This is an improvement for sure, but let's check out what happens on outside engagements.
Bravo 2. Our units are taking hold of objective Alpha 1. Come out! Our units are taking hold of objective Alpha 2. Equipment needed.
Now one thing I did notice is that if you get hit, your FPS will drop 10 to 15 frames instantly. I have a feeling it has to do with the low health stage, because once I'm back to full health, I'm back to 60 FPS. Until you get hit again. Overall, I'm glad they were able to optimize this game even further to maximize FPS to get this game to perform as well as it does now. This game now plays pretty well on Shadow at 1080p. It's not perfect, mind you, but you shouldn't need to mess with the settings at all if your Shadow machine is identical to mine. What this game really needs is a sound overhaul. Sometimes I feel like I'm playing Counter-Strike 1.6. This first assault rifle you get sounds like it's suppressed even when it's not. Punchier sounds make this game a bit more immersive. But this is a development issue and not a Shadow problem. Other than the sound, World War III has improved greatly on playing on Shadow at an almost constant 60 FPS. World War III actually has a great chance of being a great competitor to Battlefield 2042. We all know Battlefield 2042 has a load of problems. If Farm 51 plays their cards right, on full release, players might be moving over to World War III, especially if it's slated to be free. We'll be keeping an eye on World War III pretty closely. They do need to put in some work, but I think they might be able to pull off something great. Hopefully, they'll be able to do a full release on multiple cloud gaming platforms since the game is free. Until then, make sure to like the video and subscribe right here at the only place where you can do battle in gaming heaven, Cloud Gaming Battle.